everybody, I'm Connor, that's Doug, and welcome to the longest running school district podcast in the Puget Sound. And do we have a fantastic show for you today?
We absolutely do. And Connor, we also have to get to useless trivia, but I will tease you with this. My useless trivia is so good this week. I'm actually going to hold on to it, make you wait until after our first segment today.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
That's perfect. We also have a very special guest joining us for our first segment, who we'll introduce in just a minute. But first, we spend a lot of time on this podcast talking about the amazing staff, students, and community that make up our fantastic school district, but we don't really talk about the organization as a whole.
And that whole organization is pretty ginormous, if that is a word. Bethel's the 16th largest district in the entire state. And just to put that in perspective, there are nearly 300 school districts in Washington. So we employ a lot of folks around the county. And if you're listening to this, you either know someone who's employed by Bethel or you are someone who's employed by Bethel.
What's up, Team Bethel? Thanks for listening. The reason we employ so many folks is because we take care of so many kids, more than 20,000 students, just to ballpark it. And to run a school district with 31 schools and 20,000 kids, we need plenty of teachers, paraeducators, bus drivers, custodians, maintenance and facilities workers, child nutrition workers, nurses, so many different positions here in the district. And I should just put a plug in right now, jobs.bethelsd.org. It's a great place to work because we all are here to ensure that each and every student is supported and successful on their way to the graduation stage.
And we've been recognized, even nationally, time and time again for our efforts. This year, we've once again been recognized by Forbes magazine as one of America's best employers by state. Believe it or not, this is actually the 6th year in a row we've made that list.
I believe it because I've had to write that story 6 years in a row now. Bethel is the only school district this year. Bethel is the only school district in Pierce County to make the list.
And to show you that this is a legit list, I'm going to tell you some of the other companies who are also named. We're talking Costco. We're talking Amazon. We're talking Starbucks, Target. The list goes on, and we are among them.
Among them, and we don't even offer a $1.99 hot dog combo, which I think is probably why Costco's on this list. There's also a lot of tech giants in Washington State, as you know. They made the list too. Companies like Google, Microsoft, Apple, and Meta, formerly known as Facebook. That's a company that's actually lower on the list than Bethel.
All right. That's enough tooting our horn for now. And now it's time to welcome in our special guest to talk with us about how the district is funded. Get your spreadsheet out, Doug.
My abacus is always at the ready. Before we introduce our guest, Connor, let's do a quick run through of the generalities of our school district budget. Let's do like 30 seconds or less. We're not math majors here.
Sounds like a plan, Doug. So, okay. The basics are this. We have money coming in and money going out. Duh. The money coming in, or revenues, comes from a variety of sources. The biggest sources are as follows. 57% of our budget comes from the state, 11% from our educational programs and operations levy that's been renewed by our voters every 4 years.
Absolutely. Thank you, voters.
And the last big funding piece is state and federal grants, which add up to 32% of our budget.
And now quickly, the money going out or expenditures, about 80% of the money going out is going towards salaries and benefits of the folks that work here. The rest is purchase services and materials and supplies, things like that.
Well, our special guest this week knows all about the budget. Christine Donnelly is our Chief Financial Officer. Christine, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So earlier this year, throughout the summer, we've seen some neighboring districts of ours having to weather some pretty serious hardships. Some districts have had to lay off a lot of staff, cut programs, and in the case of a district up north, they've had to have state oversight while they fix things financially in the district. Here in Bethel, thank goodness we haven't had any of those headline-grabbing missteps. Christine, what are we doing right?
Well, I think it's actually a combination of things. Back in 23-24, Bethel began receiving 6% regionalization funding from the state. And while it's less than what most of our neighboring districts are receiving, it has provided some support as costs continue to rise. What's really setting Bethel apart is how we've managed through these challenges. While other districts have faced serious setbacks, we've avoided these pitfalls by planning ahead and making responsible choices. Thanks to our careful budgeting and our hard work from our staff and leaders, we've been able to stay focused focused and on what matters most, which is supporting our students, staff, and schools.
Yeah, and it's been a complicated time, too. We've had ESSER funds come in after COVID. That 6% was after a long fight with the state. Post-McCleary, a lot of districts were getting 0%. We were one of them. Now we're up to 6%, so that's been a big change.
With that said, we know that there are still financial pressures ahead, but we're confident that by working together and staying proactive, we can continue to keep Bethel strong.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're grateful for that work. When talking about school district budgets, it's really common to hear people say that the state doesn't really fully fund our schools. So you meet regularly with other school district CFOs across the state. What common issues are all districts facing when it comes to state funding?
Yeah, definitely. In those conversations, we continue to talk about the cost of schools. The cost of schools have gone up significantly with inflation, but state funding hasn't kept pace, as you mentioned. And at the same time, schools are competing for great teachers and staff, which pushes salaries even higher than what the state actually provides for the funding. Many districts also have seen student enrollment decline since COVID, which means less funding for them. But here in Bethel, our enrollment has stayed steady, which has helped, but we're still navigating the same financial pressures that all districts are working through.
Yeah, the financials of a school district are complicated enough, and with all of those other things having to factor in, it's a tough job that you have. We all know that we've got 2 levies expiring next year that will be up for renewal. The board's discussing their options for that renewal election that we're anticipating next February 2026. So first off, thank you to our voters for supporting our levies throughout the years. And the question for you, Christine, how important are those levies to our district's overall financial health?
Yes, definitely thank you to the community for supporting Bethel's levies over the years. They've made a huge difference for our students. Levies are important to our district financial health because, as you had mentioned, the state doesn't fully fund education, and renewing these 2 levies is critical for Bethel. The Educational Programs and Operations, or the EP&O levy, provides about 11% of our budget, helping us fund classroom teachers, support staff, and programs that give students the opportunities and the support that they need to succeed. Levy dollars also help to keep the schools safe, well-maintained, and ready for learning. The other levy, the Technology Capital Levy, provides iPads for every student, internet and wireless systems for the schools, tech support, and educational software and hardware. So, as you can see, levies are important to the district and allow us to have flexibility to respond to the rising costs and changing needs, ensuring that our students continue to get the best education possible.
Absolutely. And when we talk about that 11% of our budget coming from the levy, we're talking specifically about the Educational Programs and Operations levy. The tech levy is actually a capital levy. Those capital dollars are kept in a separate part of the budget, whereas the EP&O is part of our general fund budget, and we make sure that those dollars are kept separate because that's what they're intended for.
Yes, they are.
Well, Christine Donnelly, Chief Financial Officer here in the greatest school district of all time, Bethel School District. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Yes, always great to chat with Christine Donnelly, our CFO, about all the goings-on in Bethel. And Doug, I've waited long enough. You teased it early in the show. You were hyping up a big piece of useless trivia this week. Let's hear it.
I think you're going to love this one. So Bethel is a big organization. We already talked about that. My useless trivia is about an even bigger organization, and before I get to it, I got to set the stage. Marriott International has more than 8,800 hotels around the world. They have something like 400,000 employees. Connor, they weren't always this big. My useless trivia is this. Marriott started out as a root beer stand in Washington, D.C.
No kidding. I would have never guessed that, so not even hotels.
That's right. Founded in 1927, Jay Willard and Alice Marriott opened Hot Shops. It was a 9-seat root beer stand, and they expanded that franchise until World War II when Hot Shops began managing cafeterias in Washington, D.C. at a lot of government buildings. They then expanded to corporations, colleges, and hospitals. It wasn't until 30 years later that they bought their first hotel in 1957. By 1969, they had 11 hotels. 1981, they had 100. 1989, they had 500. And like I said, today they have more than 8,800 hotels.
All fine, and I would love to visit all of them at some point. So if anyone from the root beer company, the old root beer company, is listening, I'm ready for sponsorship.
I'm glad you mentioned the root beer company. Hot Shops closed their last shop in 1999. Can you believe that?
That's insane. I never would have guessed that.
Connor, what is your useless trivia of the week? Good luck topping that. I'm very proud of myself this week.
Yeah, mine will not be topping that one, but I have a little interesting one for you. And it is this, Doug. Did you know that sloths actually hold their breath longer than dolphins?
Really?
They do. Sloths.
Why?
Sloths, due to their insanely slow metabolism, can hold their breath for up to 40 minutes, while dolphins generally only 10 to 15 before they need to get some air. Bizarre, right?
That's shocking. So,
Isn't it?
That's so weird. Sloths don't swim, I don't think.
I don't know.
Okay, well, we'll leave that to the
But
audience.
if they just want to hold their breath, they can do it.
How long can you hold your breath for?
Good 15 seconds.
That's strong.
And just to add in, my source on this little piece of info is none other than BBC.
I appreciate you doing the source thing. That's fantastic. I forgot. Mine is actually from Marriott.com's official website, which I feel is they probably wouldn't lie on there.
They're so trustworthy. They're so honest.
Oh my
they're
gosh.
so beautiful.
They're not going to sponsor you. Well, our final segment of the show, we talked earlier about Bethel as a big organization. We're going to get down to the classrooms now and talk about student behaviors.
So the real question is, what does it take to build schools where kids feel safe, supported, and ready to learn? So here in Bethel, one of the key components is strong behavior systems. And with that in mind, we recently hosted nationally recognized experts, Jessica and John Hannigan, to help us make those systems even stronger.
We did. Jessica and John are no strangers to the district. The Hannigans have been working closely with us for some time now, helping our schools design and strengthen social, emotional, and behavior systems that put students first. Over the summer, they met again with our department and school behavior teams for a full day of collaboration and training. Jessica Hannigan said she has a lot of respect for the educators here in Bethel.
Bethel is one of our model districts, just already have done so much. What we love the most about Bethel's process is, number one, the coherence. So a district level team, along with stakeholder input from teacher group, union group, admin group, stakeholder groups, came together and actually came and watched John and I present these systematic structures. Then they consistently went back to message what would next steps be. And they really invested in, look, we want to build the capacity and support.
And Jessica's husband and co-presenter, John, emphasized that the work they're doing at these events goes well beyond simply academics.
So it's the intentional focus that we're here to create empathic members of our community. So it's not just a focus on academics, while that's of course very important, but we also want to create good humans, good people.
And of course, at the heart of this effort are the school behavior teams themselves, made up of educators, staff, and administrators. Tracy Overstreet, a teacher, union leader, and behavior team member, said that makes sure everyone's voice is at the table.
Having a whole team there gives everybody a buy-in. It's not just administrations telling us, but it gives educators voices too.
District leaders, like our own Executive Director of Elementary Schools, Kelly Boynton, also point to collaboration as a key to this entire process.
There's been a ton of learning along the way, but probably the thing that stands out most to me is the simple fact that this is not just the teacher's work or just the administrator's work. This is our work.
Over the past year, Jessica Hannigan has observed behavior teams throughout our district, offering feedback and answering questions. She's also visited classrooms to see the systems in action and speak directly with teachers and students about their experiences.
And as this partnership grows, the focus remains very clear: creating the best possible learning environment for students. By investing in the growth of educators and building coherent systems, Bethel is ensuring that when staff learn and grow, students benefit the most.
Well, that's going to wrap up another episode of the Bethel School District Presents podcast. We appreciate all you listening out there, and we're going to be back again next week with another great show and more, of course, useless trivia. Have a great week, everybody.